Hello and welcome to another video from oorail. So this is a quick test video. It's APT test 3, and in today's video what we're testing is how the APT performs with just one powered NDM. Now I don't have a dummy NDM, so what I've done is I have removed one of the powered NDMs and replaced it with two TU coaches. The two TU coaches weigh about the same as a unpowered NDM, maybe a little bit more. So if it performs well with the two additional coaches without the extra NDM, it'll give you a pretty good idea of how well it performs with one power car. So what we're going to do first is go ahead and remove the power car. So I'm going to move the APT up here a little bit and show you guys us removing that. Okay, so I've changed the camera view here just so you can see how easy it is to remove these. So what I'm going to do is simply remove this one here on the left. So you do is you grab both the bogies pretty firmly and you just then pull them apart like so. I'm going to do the same thing between the coach and the bogie, and then we're going to power car. I'm going to remove that power car, and then what I'm going to do is move the coach here, line the line two up like so, and push it together. Alright, so now what we have is a 15 car set with one NDM and two extra TU coaches from the actual 7 car pack. Those are from the 001, 002 set. So let's get started with the test. Okay, so with the one power car, it doesn't seem to have any problems whatsoever going around the layout at regular speed, as you saw there. So what we're going to do next is I'll show you it, see how quickly it will take off, or at least how easily it'll take off with just the one power car. I do have the power car currently sitting about a foot from the power feeders that go into the track, so let's see how it works. Alright, so you can see here the power car is wobbling around quite a bit, spinning its wheels, and so I'm going to turn it down so you can hear me. But basically it went around the layout a couple of times without any problems at slow speed with a single power car in this 16 car configuration. But as soon as it had gone around into like the medium speed, you know, I probably turned the speed up from half to 3/4. It had this problem, so when I dialed the speed back down, it still had the same problem. So I don't know if it's losing traction or something shifted within the power car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the other power car just to make sure that that isn't the problem. It's not like a failure in this particular power car, but it doesn't look like it performs so well with a single power car with the full rake. To be fair, this is running 2 extra coaches, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove both of those extra coaches and see if it behaves the same way. Okay, so for this next part of the test, I'm going to remove 48301 and 48302 from the rake here. One thing I did notice was when I put a little pressure above the bogies, the single power car didn't have any problems whatsoever going. So I suspect that maybe it just needs a little bit more weight in order to be able to run it in this configuration. But what we're going to do is we're going to remove these 2 coaches and see if it has any impact on the running characteristics. So the power car is still vibrating a little bit, but it is running a lot better with the 2 coaches removed. So right now it's running in a 13 car configuration with just a single NDM. Now as the train approaches here, it's running at 50% speed, so you can see that it's still struggling a little bit, and had no problems as you saw in the high speed tests, but in the medium speed tests it's pretty much crawling the same way the other was with 2 NDMs at low power. So there's no significant wobble with just the 1 NDM like you saw earlier. But it's still a good bit slower. So my guess is that if you really want to run a full 14 car set, the best option is with 2 powered NDMs, although it will work, as you can see to a certain degree, with the single NDM. So I know some folks asked how well it would work with just the one NDM. It looks like it's on the borderline of its capabilities. Okay, so as the APT approaches, we're running at about 70% power with a single NDM, and it's performing quite well. It is squeaking a little bit, and I did notice that it does squeak a little bit more with the single powered NDM. We are now coming up, approaching about 90% power. We're now approaching at 100% power. So at 25% power, the APT is stopped. If you try to accelerate on a curve, as you can just hear there, it does struggle a little bit. So it's approaching right now at 50% power. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crank it down. We are now at 25% power. And it's on a slight incline, and you can see that it's still moving, but very ever so slightly. And you can see there it stops right at just below 25% power. Now it doesn't seem to have too much problem accelerating on the straights, even on a slight incline. But what I will do is show you. You see there at lower power, it's still starting to struggle a little bit on a slight incline. Alright, so I'm here on one of the curves, and I just wanted to show you, this is kind of like at the edge of a slight incline. It's a very slight incline, it's not anything crazy. But if I turn the power up here, you'll see the power card does have a problem until it gets to about there. And if you accelerate a little bit quickly on the curves, it still has that same kind of problem until it gets out of the curve. So if you've got a lot of curves, these are like 22-inch radius or third radius curves, and so it's having some problems accelerating in those curves. So if you've got a single powered NDM, you're going to want to accelerate before you get to the curve or as you exit the curve. Accelerating in the curve seems to be a little problematic for the individual NDM that's powered. You can see there, what I did was accelerate as it was in the curve, and it had a slight problem with that. Now on the next test, you'll see it pass through, and it's running at the same speed, but I haven't touched the acceleration at all. And you can see it has no problems whatsoever in the curve. However, as it approaches this time, I'm going to accelerate it slightly in the curve, and you'll see that it does have a degree wheel spin. So it looks like adding some weight over the bogies might help that. So I don't know if you could hear that in the video, but as I accelerated inside the curve, you could hear the wheels start to slip. Okay, so we've concluded test 3 today, and so you can see there running with the single NDM, it did have some trouble in the 16 car configuration. The power car was kind of wobbling a little bit and was losing traction. It probably needs a little bit more weight. When we reduced it to a 13 car configuration, so that was without the second NDM and no extra coaches to compensate for the additional weight, it performed a lot better. It had no problems whatsoever performing at maximum speed. It also performed pretty well at about 60 to 70% speed. At 50% power, it was running kind of the same way the two NDMs were running at about 25% power. It was basically running at a kind of a crawl speed. There's pretty good control between that crawl speed and the 60-70% power. So I'm not too concerned about the running characteristics. I did notice that there was a decent amount of wobble in the NDM when it was running between that kind of slow speed to medium speed. You saw there it had some problems accelerating on the curves. You got that kind of wheel slip. So I think it would really benefit from additional weight above the bogies. Maybe not a whole lot of additional weight, but enough to at least give it a little bit more traction. In the full simulated 14 car set, so that was a 16 car set with the two extra coaches, you saw there, if I slowed it down or came to a stop near the curve, it even on a very slight incline, it had significant problems. Even with the flat track, it was having a significant amount of problems. It was just it doesn't quite have the traction that's there. So if you want to run the full length APT or maybe fictitious longer APTs, then you're really going to need the two powered NDMs. If you can afford it and you can get the second powered NDM, because I think it's sold out pretty much everywhere at this point, you definitely want to try to pick one up. Alright, so I hope you guys found this video useful. I want to give a thanks to Adam for making the suggestion for this. It was a fantastic idea. And stay tuned for the next APT test video. Alright, as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and put a comment in the comments below if you have anything you'd like to contribute. Alright, thanks for watching, and until next time.